Hey, Fallbrook, what's going on? KSA Kris here. Fallbrook Village Talk, another episode. Very excited about this one. We got, it looks like a lot of reactions. People are starting to engage. I'm pretty excited. If you don't see already, it's popped up right now. We have FCA live. And on top of that, we have Chace hanging out with us. And this is so cool because if you got a chance to actually read the show notes of what's going on, I just think this is a really, really cool program and what's going on. And it was so cool because like you reached out to me right on Facebook. I think you sent me a Facebook PM when I started Fallbrook Village Talk. And you're like, hey, I'd like to talk. You sent me this video. At the end of this, I want you to tell everybody where they can find that video as well, or maybe I'll put it up in the show notes. But I just think it's really, really cool what you're doing. And I want to talk a little bit about it today. So real quick, introduce yourself and let people know who you are.
Yeah, my name's Chace Steeves. I live right here in Fallbrook. And so I'm a part of an organization called Fellowship of Christian Athletes. It's international, and I'm focusing here in the Fallbrook and Bonsall community.
Cool, man. And, when we started talking, and I watched the video, I think the video is what was most powerful for me. So when I was in high school, I was part of a group called KFC, and it was a club. And KFC was Kids for Christ. So it sounds like what you've basically done is that you're leading, you're helping lead basically a club that's actually already in the Bonsall and Fallbrook school system in the high schools. Is that right?
Yeah, so I came on 1 year ago, just finished up fundraising October. So now I'm just full-time as of October 30th. And so we had an existing FCA at Fallbrook High, and we've launched Sullivan, Potter, and Bonsall High hopefully by next semester. So we'll be at four schools in Bonsall.
Okay, so before we get too deep on what exactly FCA is and how it all works, I want to back up real quick. So you say you live here, you live in Fallbrook. Kind of, did you born and raised, or like did you come to Fallbrook?
Yeah, so I came to Fallbrook sophomore year of high school, and so we grew up going to Riverview Church, and my parents wanted to be closer to the church that we attended and get into the community. And so graduated Fallbrook, class of 2004. My wife is like a true Fallbrookian, was born at Fallbrook Hospital, lived here her whole life. And so we got married. We have 4 kids, and they're all in the Fallbrook schools, and we love this town. So it's a great spot.
Awesome. That's awesome. So how did you come about like becoming part of FCA? Like, cause that's what you do full time. So how did that happen?
Yeah, so 4 years ago, I came on staff at Riverview Church in Bonsall, and in the job description, they believe in FCA so much, I had to sign off an initial that I'd be a part of that. And so I came in as a youth pastor helping out, just fell in love with what they were doing, the impact they had in the school level. And when the previous guy, Jordan Dietz, got promoted, they asked if I would come in and focus in the Fallbrook and Bonsall schools. So I've been a part of it as a student in Fallbrook, as a youth pastor, and now being able to run it is just amazing. So.
That's so cool. So what exactly is FCA? Like, go in depth for me.
Yeah, so FCA stands for Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and we are a campus ministry that gets the gospel into our public schools. And so number one question I always get, athletes in our name, is it only for athletes? And the answer is no, definitely not. So we believe the gospel is for everyone. So every student is welcome, come be a part of what we're doing. And we meet during lunch at the different schools. And so every day during lunch, we're at a different campus and running a program in partnership with the local churches and just doing a great presenting the gospel to a campus that we think desperately needs it. And so that's what we're a part of.
That's so cool. I don't know if you see this. Kelly had put up there, Chace and the FCA are amazing. Thank you so much for chiming in there for us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
So, and I think when I was talking to you yesterday, I sort of had brought up, I says, it's so interesting to me. And I went to school in California. I was actually up in Northern California where I went to high school. And, I remember back then, for me to join a Christian club, it wasn't even like nobody blinked. It wasn't even a big deal. In fact, I thought it was very normal. There were multiple clubs. There was a Jewish club. There was a Muslim club. There was a lot of different faiths that were actually at our school. Now, here it is. Fast forward, it's 2018. It's a very different environment. And it's California on top of that. So, I mean, how explain to me, and I think I told you yesterday, like I was going to ask, because I almost like sometimes annihilating an objection before it comes up, or especially when I do a lot of internet stuff. So I'll get trolls who are like, well, you shouldn't be talking about. So like, how do you deal with that when you're saying, here it is, it's a club that's on a school campus that's supported by the school, just like other clubs that are at the school. And all we're trying to do is actually preach the gospel, and it's children coming together to exercise their faith together. I mean, like, how do you deal? Have you had to deal with that? I guess that's what I'm curious about.
Yeah, we haven't. And I think the beauty is because we function as a club. And so in order to get established, like we're working at right now at Bonsall High, is I have to find a teacher and students that want to be the student board and the teacher representative. After they get that, then I can come in as FCA and bring our outside resources to make that happen. And so FCA and Fallbrook High, for instance, has been around since 1990. And so we have a great relationship with the school. As of the last 6 years, when Jordan Dietz came in, we kind of brought more intentionality to bring in an FCA staff member there. And we do a lot for the school. It's our desire is to serve the school and be a part of it and help out the administration, be supportive of that, as well as engage our students. And so students come, it's totally volunteer. It's during lunchtime. Like for instance, Fallbrook High is Wednesdays at lunch in the gym. And so you can come if you want. You don't have to come. No one's forcing you, but they hear the music playing from our sound system. We've got food. And so we'd say, bribe them a pizza and give them Jesus. So we just want kids in the doors. And we can't tell you how many stories we've heard of, man, I was just hungry. I want some food. I got free food for every kid that's there. So I grabbed a piece and I hung out. And then, where they're at now and engaged in our community and serving is a really neat thing. So, and the administration likes it because whether or not they believe in the Jesus that we're teaching about, they see lives of kids that are changed and they're better in the schools, have better attitudes, want to get more involved in the community. And so even from that side, whether they agree or disagree, they can't deny that lives are being changed and impacted because of it.
That's really cool. Yeah, and I think what you also mentioned is that you have these young adults and they're choosing to not only, exercise their religion and live that together with other people that are doing it as well, other young adults, because it's, being a young adult is tough. It really is. I remember it and it was rough. I always talk about my, high school is one of those things where I enjoyed it, but I would never do it again. I just wouldn't. It's hard, but to be able to have almost like a built-in support group that's faith-based, that's your faith, that is really, really cool, and that's what I think. But I think on top of that is it looks like you're starting to stretch these young adults, not just about their faith, but also looking out at external to themselves, looking at the community. And that's really what Fallbrook Village Talk is about, is trying to stretch out and reach into the community. So what kind of stuff are you guys doing outside of the lunch cafeteria?
Yeah, well, before I get to that, address your first point is FCA is a club that does meet during lunch. But our hope is we're a presenting ministry. Like we want to present Jesus to a school that desperately needs him. Fallbrook's had 3 lockdowns with guns on campus. Sullivan had a suicide in the most recent years. And so we see a need of bringing hope into a campus. And we believe that hope is through Jesus Christ. And so we want to present that. So it's not some holy huddle where just Christians gather and everyone else is excluded. Like we want every single kid to be in that room. If they're dropping F-bombs as they come in, man, I'm going to agree with a giant hug and say welcome. And, our hope is we want to welcome every kid right as they are, but we hope that they'll encounter Jesus through that and exit that room in a very different way. And so we want to be a safe spot for students who are believers to come and be like, man, there's power in numbers. I'm not alone in my Christian walk. I have believers here on campus, but also that place where students who don't know Jesus can come and be like, man, they're accepting of us. They welcome me as I am, and we're going to share truth with them. So it's not just a holy huddle, it's presenting. And we have great student leaders that help make that happen. And so that's a school level community. I'm a firm believer that we've got to earn the right to speak into people's life, right? And we've got to earn the right to be present on that campus and be able to share about Jesus. And that comes by serving the community. And so we want to show people how much we care, and then we can show them why that is through Jesus Christ. And so we do all sorts of community stuff. Even as I was fundraising, we're involved with that. Our hope is to do more as we're fully fundraised. But last year, for instance, we got to team up with an organization down in San Diego, and they gave us $100 mini grant and said, go and impact your community with that money. And so we teamed up with another awesome organization, Unforgotten Faces, with Kim Zember right here in Fallbrook. And we teamed up together and we raised cans, had a can drive for the Fallbrook Food Pantry. And our goal was 1,200 cans. We raised 2,000. So we had different teachers were dropping off locations there at the schools. We had churches involved with that. And then with that, we had a partner who every can brought in equated to $1. And so we were able to sponsor 5 kids in Africa with school for an entire year. And so that was super neat where 2,000 cans, the food pantry, it was just a lot all at once. And so we got to bring a team in. And we got to help them, put them on the shelves, unload them, do all of that. And they got introduced as students to another great community group that they can help serve and volunteer at. And so we're all about how can we serve this town? What can we do? We're working on doing some cleanup projects, doing more things with the food pantry. And there's quite a bit more coming up that we're excited to serve Fallbrook because we love this town. We love the community. And I want to show students how cool I want to show the community how great our students are and that they do care and there is good in that. And so often we just hear, oh man, this is what happened at Fallbrook or this issue, but there's some awesome things there. And we want to expose the community to these great leaders that are coming up and are doing cool things and they're going to be world changers. So, and
I think that's awesome because, you know, I know my wife, Kim Steele, is going to be interviewing the lady that runs the Miss Fallbrook pageant and talking about, you know, I think when okay, so I wanted to avoid this, but I think it needs to be talked about. And for those that are watching on Friends of Fallbrook or going to watch this somewhere else, you know, every time something comes up in Friends of Fallbrook or Real Friends of Fallbrook and they bring up Fallbrook School specifically, it's like, oh, it's awful and this, that, and the other. And in my opinion, the only way, instead of sitting on the sidelines and being a spectator and complaining about something, like, what are you doing? What can you do? What can we do? What can we do as a community, whether it's individual or together, to make it better so you don't feel that way anymore? Like, let's end that feeling. And I just think it's so cool that you're out there and physically trying to touch these young adults' lives and then also stretching them out into the community. So it's not just making the school better, but it's also making the friendly village better. And I just think that's awesome, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, I think that does need to be addressed where, you know, there are some phenomenal things going on at Fallbrook High that unfortunately we don't get to hear about. You know, we hear of the issues that happen, but on a day-to-day, the administration, what's going on at that school, there's some really powerful things that are great things happening. And so what I was attracted to your show for was just let's highlight the beauty of Fallbrook, right? Let's highlight these communities and these organizations that are doing good things because unfortunately the darkness and the evil gets drowned out, you know, the good that's going on. So I firmly believe in Fallbrook High. I love that school. My kids are going to be going to school there when they're old enough. So I not just like want to be there, but I believe in it. And I would love for FCA to be 10 years from now, my kids are in high school, just an established, known organization, not to the school, but in the community where we're there for them. We have something that really I think that this school needs. And it's that support coming alongside them and showing them we care not just for you spiritually, but also your physical needs. And we want to be a part of that. So
yeah. And you know what, man, I'm just so glad that I got a chance. I'm glad that you reached out to me. I'm glad that Fallbrook Village Talk found a way for the two of us to connect. So, and I think you said it best. Our goal is to highlight the good things in Fallbrook. Our goal is to highlight and expose people to people like you, to charities, to people that are working, to people that and telling each other stories, to really talk about the things that make Fallbrook Fallbrook. And I remember when I first started, I started coming through Fallbrook, driving through Fallbrook in the early and mid 90s when I was in the Marine Corps. And I said one day when I have enough money, I'm moving to Fallbrook. And I came back from Afghanistan. Kim and I we were getting married and she says, well, you know, you just got stationed at Pendleton. Where do you want to live? And I was like, I want to move to Fallbrook. And I just think what I experienced when I first moved to Fallbrook was everybody knew everybody. And it was one of those things where, everybody was always friendly no matter where you went. They wanted to hear and talk to you and know your story. They wanted to engage with you. And there was all these neat little things that you could do and neat little shops. And you walk in and everybody knows what you're ordering, or they say, hey, Kris, they know your name. I mean, any restaurant I go to, it's like, hey, Kris, what's going on? Hey, I saw that thing that you posted up online. That was great. And I think that's what I loved about Fallbrook. And I just wanted to, because everything's moving pretty heavy online, I wanted to say, you know what, maybe there's a way that we can continue to have that, but in this virtual space where you could still meet people. And then, but the big one is like exposing. If you hadn't have reached out to me, Chace, I would never have known what you're doing. I would have never known about the church that you're at and what they're doing for our community and our children that are in the school system. Like, I would have never known. And that's what I think is really cool about this, man. And I'm just so glad that you reached out to me.
I am too. Thanks for taking my call. But, I think you hit on, when I left Riverview to go full-time with FCA. And so now my heart and my burden is, we got to get every church that understands the gospel, believes in Jesus Christ and what he's done on the cross for them. We got to get them involved. And in a town like you shared, I think unity is key to that. Like, we have 6 churches that their youth guys are on campus with me every single week. Whether from the free churches to the Baptist churches, the Catholic churches, the independent ones. And it's beautiful because it's showing a town the unity that we need to have. And it came from a quote. There's a Christian rap artist named Lecrae, and he says, why is the most segregated time of the week Sunday morning? What does that say about the God that we worship? And like, it's so true, and it just broke my heart where in a community that we're trying to bring that unity, I just want to show that in a way that we got to do that at the church level as well. And so it's been cool to partner up with so many different churches and build a relationship with their youth pastors, their senior pastors, that we have that common objective, and that is just to invade our schools with kids who need to know the saving knowledge of Jesus. And it's been great to see that and building friendships with people who I probably wouldn't have just inside my bubble of what was comfortable for me. But it's been cool having that community come together in that way. We've gotten great support. So we're loving awesome. What we're doing.
Cool, man. So this is I mentioned it to you prior to us jumping on, and I'm going to put it out there as well. And I'll even put it out here for the people who are going to watch this, because it seems like every video that I've posted up, and I haven't posted up but a few because we just started Fallbrook Village Talk, we're getting a couple thousand views on each video, right? So whoever watches this later, I want it to be known that I said this right before I jumped on. I'm going to say it again. My goal for Fallbrook Village Talk, it's not something that I do, that it's not mine to own. It's for the community to own, and I want to start bringing on contributors, people that are going to add value to the community and add value to Fallbrook Village Talk in general. And what I would like to find a way to where, maybe once a week, if you have time, or every other week, if that's when you have time, to sit down and do 15 minutes to a half hour. That's something that's going to be a little more faith-based, and that's going to talk about, just talking to people that may want to hear that on Fallbrook Village Talk, because that's the whole point. It's just a village and we're talking, just having those conversations, So if you're good with that, I would like to set something up.
Let's do it.
Okay. Yeah. Cool, man. Well, like I told you, I want to keep this 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes. Just get on, introduce you to everybody. I have a feeling we're going to talk more like in the future. We're going to definitely have you on a lot more. I love your spirit. I love what you're doing. And I really respect. I just think it's so cool because I think I get a little emotional. I have 2 younger kids. I started having kids a lot later in life. And it's nice to see that there's individuals that are out there committing to ensuring that young adults are growing in a positive way, whether that's through faith, whether that's through sports, whether that's whatever it is, as long as that we're guiding them to become the best versions of themselves that they can be. Because there's so many pitfalls. There's so many ways to get lost. And I appreciate what you're doing. I want to say thank you for what you're doing. And, let's get together. Let's talk some more. Yeah. So
one more thing. Man.
Yeah.
Cool. So one thing we're really starting to unfold now is more of a community focus. And so if you're part of Fallbrook Youth Baseball, Fallbrook Youth Soccer, any of the community sports, give me a call. I get you my contact information. We have some awesome coaching training that we can do for this community called 3-dimensional coaching. And so we want to get that in front of coaches who in a small town, like, oh, my kindergartners playing soccer, so I guess I'll coach it. But we have some really cool resources to give them some intentionality, purpose, and training with it that I think would be really cool. So we want to grow not to the schools, in the community sports, and be some great training from some national level guys that can come in and do that. And so we're excited to see where that takes us. I think the sky's the limit. Looking forward to talking to you again and sharing what we've done since the last conversation.
Absolutely. So if somebody wants to reach out to you after watching this, whether it's right now, whether it's like a day from now, whether it's a month from now, if somebody wants to reach out to you and talk to you specifically, how can people reach out to you to, see whether it's talking about faith, whether it's talking about your program, whether it's talking about charity, whatever it is, how can somebody reach out to you?
I think probably the best way, we have a Facebook page. It's FCA Fallbrook Bonsall. If you just message me through that, I'll get in touch with you right away. And so I oversee that. We have an Instagram account, same thing, FCA Fallbrook and Bonsall, where you can see not just what we're doing, hear from students who are in our leadership and just kids are being impacted by it, and also be able to contact me through it. So
cool. Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Hey, Fallbrook, thank you so much for watching. Like I told you, we're building this. There's going to be a lot of contributors that are coming. And the goal is for Fallbrook Village Talk is to just go out there and start talking and having stories, talking about the people of Fallbrook, the people that make up our community, and just showing the beauty of it and trying to just bring us a little bit closer, a little bit tighter. So thank you so much for watching. Those that were on today, we got quite a few views. Thank you, everybody, for that. Drop the comments. I made sure I post them up there. And for those of you that are going to watch it later, please go and like the Fallbrook Village Talk page. We're going to make sure that we post up content every day if we can. Excuse me. If you would like to be on an interview or get interviewed, or if you have a story about Fallbrook, hit me up. Let us know. Just go into Fallbrook Village Talk, send us a quick PM, and we'll get right back to you. Okay, Chase, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Let's go ahead and get off here. All right, hold on one second because I'm going to close off, and then I'll talk to you real quick offline. All right.
Awesome.